If you're a 40-something male, you've undoubtedly experienced significant life changes. Your approach to fitness may have changed due to obligations related to raising a family, keeping up a happy marriage, advancing in your work, or any combination of these. Unlike in your 20s, you most likely do not have the luxury of going to the gym for 2 hours every day. Rather, you're searching for a productive method to complete your workouts and achieve the best possible outcomes. You want to get the most out of your gym workouts since time is of the essence. The last thing you want as you become older is to be lost and unclear of what exercises to perform, or worse, to run the danger of hurting yourself. Sometimes less really is more, which is why we're here to provide the 3 exercises that are very necessary for building muscle that are especially designed for guys over 40. The exercises that we have chosen accomplish 2 main goals. One is that because they target many muscle groups and provide significant weight growth, they offer the highest return on investment. Additionally, they address important muscle groups in both the upper and lower bodies, ensuring a well-balanced body. Now let's get started with these 3 very important exercises. Number 1. Low incline bench press. Studies that appear in the Journal for Interventional Medicine and Applied Science indicate that exercises including the bench press or its modifications are beneficial for the development of the chest overall. Moreover, there is a correlation between chest size and strength and bench press 1 rep max, suggesting that strengthening your bench press might result in bigger pectoral muscles. But why would one choose a little slope over a conventional flat bench press? We use electromyography (EMG) data, which quantifies muscle activity during exercise, to provide an answer to the question. A 30-degree incline enhances activation in the anterior deltoids and upper pectoral fibers during a bench press exercise, according to research published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health. This angle allows for both load capacity and muscle activation, offering the perfect balance between the conventional flat bench and higher inclines. Number 2. Pendlay Row. A combination exercise that works all of the main pulling muscles in the upper body is the Pendlay Row. It's unique in that every rep begins with a complete stop, which eliminates momentum and lowers the possibility of injury. Barbell rows and chest-supported rows are combined in this exercise. In contrast to a standard barbell row, the arms are in a greater degree of shoulder flexion during a Pendlay Row. Given that the latissimus dorsi, lats, are primarily responsible for shoulder extension, this version emphasizes them more. The traps, rhomboids, rear deltoids, biceps, and spinal erectors are also worked. Your back's thickness is mostly dependent on the spinal erectors, which run the length of the spine. Number 3. Barbell back squat. Squats are a must if you want to build strong, muscular legs. To build muscle in the legs, squats, whether done with a barbell, kettlebell, or machine, are crucial. Squats engage the main muscles of the lower body, such as the quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and even the calves, according to EMG research. For instance, barbell back squats let you produce a lot of force without compromising your safety. Squat depth is important. Studies reveal a clear relationship between squat depth and muscle activation. You will activate your leg muscles more as you squat deeper. For guys over 40 looking to gain muscle, a solid fitness routine should start with these 3 exercises: the low incline bench press, the Pendlay Row, and the barbell back squat. The concepts of gradual overload hold for all ages. You may build muscle by gradually increasing the weight you lift regularly. It's critical to prioritize recovery in addition to efficient training to guarantee lifespan and safety. Get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night, eat adequate calories and protein, and fuel your body with enough food to support your goals. All of that for now. If this complete guide was helpful to you, please feel free to ask any questions you may have on this topic. Thanks for watching. Remember to hit the like button and share this video with your friends if you liked it. For more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you in the next one.